So with that being said, you know, I gotta start, which some people may feel like it's an elementary level, right? But you never know how many people is missing that elementary, you know what I'm saying, understanding, right there. So it's like, yeah, if I say something that 95% of y'all already understand, it's like, just work with me, because we still gotta catch that other 5%. So we could get 100%. You heard me? Like everybody on the same page, you dig? So with that being the case, you know, my presentation was set to really start with the basics, you feel me? And I wanted to start with this image right here in regards to like touching on the reality that, you know, in all of our worlds, right? Like all of us have a world of our own. But within our world, the reality is money only go in two directions. You feel me? Straight like that. It's either coming in or going out. You feel me? Straight like that. And the thing that I wanted to emphasize was that it's nobody else's responsibility but your responsibility to keep up with how much money is coming in your world and leaving out of your world. Same thing for businesses, like you just spoke on just a few minutes ago. So when we like start at that fundamental level, the first thing first, we asking you to, you know what I'm saying? First thing you need to do is total up how much went in. And then we got to total up how much left out. And when you calculate the difference between the two, that gives you this thing called your cash flow, right? Now, let's move on to the next one. So with that being like a fundamental understanding, the reality is this: your cash flow only have three results that it could turn out to be. You hear me? Let's just say it like this. If you do your math and you add up how much went in versus how much came out, and at the end of it, if you see a zero at the end of your calculations, that's called breaking even cash flow. Simple and plain. It ain't no more complicated than that. But then at the same time, if you have some money left over after you do your calculations, that's called a positive cash flow. But then if you ever do your calculations and you see that negative sign, that means that's a negative cash flow, straight like that. And it's not more complicated than that. But what we try to do when we emphasize and like point that out, we try to bring home the point that, look, like I said, it's your job to do the math, right? But you could do your math every day. And you could say, look, man, how much money came into my world and how much money left my world today? You'll know your cash flow for the day. You could do that total for the week. You could do it for the month. And if you keep up with it month for month, you'll know what your cash flow was for the year. You understand what I'm saying? So now let's go to this next one. So now I like to connect that with this image, which I kind of call it like, you'll see I put on there the science, right? Because the message that I try to bring home to people that, you know, we're not here reinventing the wheel. We're just trying to share information to like how the wheel roll that some of our people have been missing the whole time, right? And with that being the case, first of all, like I said, we gotta start with the calculations of our cash flow. But when we get down to the science, we're trying to let you know it don't work no other way. So this where I kind of use this example for the money, right? Now, I pulled this out because now I want you to like, before I try to verbally explain it to you, I use the money to kind of help in a demonstrate way, right? So if you went outside yesterday or whatever, and you made $2,000 and you spent $2,000, that's gonna leave you with that zero, right? Now, as I'm breaking that down, I need you to look at this pile of money and I need you to envision this as if this your savings or this your reserves, right? Well, if you went made X amount of dollars, like I said, $2,000, and you spent $2,000, that's a zero cash flow. So that means you was unable to add anything to your reserves. And that means your reserves is gonna stay the same. And we connect that with, you know what I'm saying, like this yellow image, if you climbing a ladder trying to see which direction you're going, that's a stagnated result. Your reserves ain't changed at all. You see what I'm saying? So now when we double back and now we touch on the understanding of a positive cash flow. Well, at the end of the day, if you went out there and, like I said, you made $3, but you spent $2, well, you got $1 left over, right? Well, at the end of the day, anytime you got something left over, you get to add to your savings. You see what I'm saying? That's just the science of how it works. It don't work no other way. But the thing is why I go there, because now I need you to look at it from this angle too. I'm gonna put this pile right here. I'm gonna sit this right here for a second. So now I need you to look at it from this angle. Now, even though I said you went up $1, even though from afar, the eye can't really see, you know what I'm saying, how big of a difference it changed your savings. But what you know is I just added something to it. But then at the same time, if it was a negative and I was to take $1 away, well, the eye probably can't see it, but one thing you know, something just left the reserves. And what I'm trying to get people to understand is we want you to focus on the science in regards to the result of your cash flow, because forget the amount. You heard me, bro? Because we got a lot of people that I know one thing. If it ain't coming in like this, it's like it don't really make a difference. That's their mentality. But when you got that mentality, when you only focus on the amount, well, what you're doing is you're neglecting the science. You feel me? And the science is, if it's positive, you're adding to it. And the thing is, if you could stay consistently adding to it over time, you're gonna see the difference. You feel me? And it's gonna pile up. But then it worked the other way too, because you might say, oh, there wasn't nothing but $1 in a negative. You feel me? But at the same time, what's gonna happen? Go ahead, keep doing it. And watch, over time, what's gonna happen? The law of depletion is gonna kick in. And it don't work no other way. And that's the science. So we here to deliver that message, right? So now, when we tie that with this next one, now, you know how I said in the beginning, your money only got two ways that it's going. It's either coming in or going out. But us as adults, we know one thing. Once you reach a certain age, and that's why we have the nonprofit to try to help the children understand this much sooner. Because once you reach a certain age, and some of us didn't learn this until we got up in age, that see that direction with that money coming out, it don't stop. You feel me? Once you hit a certain age and you're responsible for, you gotta maintain the responsibilities. That hole in your bag in the direction that's coming out, it don't stop. So, all right, so now when we tie that with this next image right here, what I try to do with this is I ask people to like pay attention to two things. Now, you know what's going on with that hole in the back of the boy wagon, because you know one thing, that represents that hole in your bag that don't stop, right? But then at the same time, I also want you to pay attention to that chain that's attached to him. And what I wanted to emphasize with this image was, yes, you're doing good when you can maintain a positive cash flow, because what's gonna happen? The law of accumulation is gonna go into effect and it's gonna pile up. But then at the same time, what I also want you to be conscious of is the day when you stop physically going and get the money yourself. Like you see within this image, the law of depletion from the negative cash flow automatically take over. So this is gonna be like, this is the reality you up against, because we're in a monetary system where everything costs. So once again, you ain't gonna never be able to close that hole in a bank. So now we tie this here with the next one. All right, this get into inflation. You heard me, this is something I ain't gonna touch on that right there. But I said it to say this here. So now when I tied it, what I'm saying to this next image right here is, okay, when you're looking at this same image, right? And you pretty much see the same layout, but I want you to pay attention to that chain that's on my man again. You heard me? And I want you to pay attention to this machine that he's putting his money into. And the thing that we try to bring home with this concept is that when you look at this machine, I want you to, this is what we try to introduce to the community, the importance of understanding assets and investing into assets. Because whether you understand so we just gonna envision this machine as an asset, right? So before we get into the specifics of the variety of assets that exist out here that you can invest in, we want you to understand what could be the long-term benefits of investing in an asset. And the difference, like I said, with this guy right here, is that by him not just putting his money in his savings and that money just sitting there, because just like this money sitting there, it ain't doing nothing for you. It's not working for you. So this is why we emphasize the importance of figuring out assets to put your money into, so that the assets could take over the job of then producing more money for you. And then this is where my guy actually get a chance to, you know what I'm saying, he get a chance to break free from that chain, because in this sense, if he stop, the money don't stop. You heard me? He could conduct and saying the money gonna keep coming in. And this is what we trying to put on our people's mind, as early as possible. Now, when I ask, so when we dive into, for my people that say, well, all right, G, how do I know if I'm investing in an asset or not? And we keep it simple as plain like this. Before you spend your money, I want you to answer one question. When you spend that money, and that thing that you was putting your money into, do it produce more money for you? You heard me? Simple and plain. And I want you to answer that question, because the answer is, if it don't produce more money for you, it's not an asset. We just gonna keep it simple like that. But if that thing produce more money for you, it's an asset. And it's just that simple. It ain't rocket science, right? But then this is what we ties it into, okay, what we doing right now. Because like I say, I'm laying the grounds as far as making sure I play my part in helping my community become literate of what we're talking about. But then at the same time, now we get into, hey, G, they got a variety of assets. Let me know my time too, because I don't want to go over. But I say that to say, they got a variety of assets, right? And this is where we got the team. You heard me? We got my guy right here, come talk about crypto. Girl, come and teach you about, look, when you're dealing with borrow money and credit, how to make the right decisions. But I'm saying that to say, one thing I try to put on my people's mind with this image is the fact that these assets exist, and we might be dealing with like a reality of, okay, if my people is unaware of the assets, that's one problem. That's what we come to make a difference with that. But then the other side is, what's standing between you and you taking advantage of them assets is the knowledge and the know-how. You feel me? Straight like that. And that's why we bringing together people today, and as we move forward to help with the know-how, because it don't matter which asset you fall in love with or which one you want to put more of your time into or not. Like, the only thing is, the goal is to get inside of some assets. You feel me? Straight like that. So with that being the case, I kind of like to slow it down for a second, and I be wanting to take it right here, right? In the sense of, all right, if we're gonna start from, I'm talking to somebody who trying to figure out like just where to start in regards to this whole journey of first maintaining their cash flow, right? This is where, you know, I have a website that I put together in this, you know what I'm saying? You can put it up, it's, you know what I'm saying? You can put it up on your phone right now, your computer, you can play with it. And it's a financial tool to help people get more familiar with how to strategize, you know what I'm saying, before they, or how to financially strategize before they make a financial decision, right? That's my spiel with that. But what I ask people to do is to come to this website. It's called seeyourdollar.com. And I ask them to come to, they got the tab, it's the cash flow tab. Now, what I did was I pre-filled in, if you come to this tab, I pre-filled in some of the columns, but you can fill it out on your own timing, right? And what I ask people to do is, first thing first, come to this column all the way to the right, and just fill in all of your expenses. And I want you to do that first. I don't even want you to focus on your income and how much you got coming in. Just let's identify how much gotta go out. And from there, when you take this number at the top, let me see something right quick, my bad, y'all. So when you take this number right here at the top, then you know one thing. That's what you're in the hole for every month. Ain't no getting around that, right? So now, I want you to then come down and stroll down here to the bottom. And what I tried to put on this part of the website was I wanted more people to be conscious of the fact that, look, yeah, we know how much you're in the hole for every month, but I also want you to know how much you're in the hole for on a day-to-day basis, if there's 28 days in a month, or if there's 31 days in a month. You see what I'm saying? All the way up in between. This is how much you gotta come up with every month so you can know if you stand afloat or not. But then from there, what I also tried to put on this website was I wanted you to have the ability to like take that same number and then take it to a page, it's called the numbers page, right? Now I pre-filled it in, I'm about to go straight to it. And I got a section on this number page that's called money versus time. And what I ask people to do is take that same amount that the total of your monthly income is and put it in this section. And right here, it's gonna spit back at you how much you're in a hole for every week that you need to come up with to make sure you can stay afloat. But then also it's gonna tell you how much you need to come up with every 2 weeks. You feel me? For you to know how to stay afloat. But then the next thing I want you to do, I want you to take however much your reserves look like this, big or small or whatever. I want you to take the amount that's in your reserves and plug it in to this number right here. And what it's gonna do is, it's gonna let you know how many months ahead you owe. You feel me? And how many years ahead you owe. And what we're gonna relay that back to the message where my dude was running with the wagon. So what it's letting you know is how much time you could chill when you stop. You feel me? Straight like that. So that's my spiel, but I'm about to close like this. Now, my brother right here, right? In regards to, you know, he's here to do the crypto thing. Now, when we were discussing, you don't mind coming for a second, bro? You heard me? Most definitely. So, in regards to when I asked you about what do you try to achieve within your annual returns with crypto, what you said to me about the 30% thing? Explain it to me.
I told them that with Bitcoin, there's calculated from the biggest guys in the industry, from Bank of US, BlackRock, to all the big financial services company. They estimated 30% return for Bitcoin for the next 20 years.
30% for sure, most definitely. Now, the key thing what my brother gave within that example, you want to come to the slide? Let me see. The thing what he gave it within that, what he was talking about was this 30% number right here. So now for my people that's sitting up there and they trying to like make sense of what that mean? 30%. What's the benefit of that? Because you know some of we don't know that type of lingo, right? 30% interest and all that. We just know how much cash we got. You hear me straight like that? So with that being the case, I'm saying that to say this here. We wanted to show you an example of what could happen with your money if it could compound annually, which we'll get into the details of what compound interest is later, but what could be the results of you investing in an asset such as crypto with $10 and you earning 30% annually and you just letting it sit. Let me show you what it'll do year after year. So after the first year, that ain't nothing but a $3 profit. That's 30% or $10. But let me show you what it been done in 50 years. It been turned to over $4 million. That's almost $5 million right there. Just that $10 investment and you earning a 30%, you see what I'm saying? A 30% interest annually compounding. Come on, man. We got to get to that point where we taking advantage of these type of opportunities because it's really exist out here. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say this is all we come to help our people with. So I'm gonna slow down with that, but that's my spiel. And like I said, I'm here to help with the basics of financial literacy, and we looking for the help from you all to help us reach more people.
Yeah.
That's it right there, baby.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.